There is a 48-hour psychological dead zone that is currently killing your relationships. If you reply too fast, you're seen as an option. If you wait too long, you're forgotten. But if you hit the 48-hour sweet spot, you stop being a choice and start becoming an obsession. Here is the intermittent reinforcement trick that rewires how people value your time and why it works even when you know it's happening. Here's where it gets darker. Every time you respond immediately to someone, you're training them to expect instant gratification. You think you're being kind. You're actually becoming predictable. And predictable, in psychology, that's poison. I watched my friend Sarah destroy a potential relationship this way. The guy was hooked at first, but Sarah responded within minutes, every single time. He started testing her. A text at 2 a.m., 5-minute reply. A random LOL at work, 3-minute reply. But here is what she didn't see. His texts got shorter. The effort died. Why? Because his brain had learned she was always there. There was no chase, no variable reward. Therefore, when she finally got busy and took 48 hours to reply, he triple texted, he called. The 48-hour window broke his expectation pattern, and suddenly his dopamine system was starving for her. Your brain releases dopamine not when you get the reward, but when you anticipate it. When you're always available, there is no anticipation. But 48 hours, that is the neurological sweet spot. It creates uncertainty without creating abandonment. It makes your next response feel like a jackpot. Now, this next part feels like manipulation, because honestly, it is. The 48-hour rule doesn't just make you more desirable, it makes people question their own relative value. Take my colleague, Marcus. He used this at work without even realizing it. A new manager kept slacking him, constant updates, tiny questions, trying to establish dominance through check-ins. Marcus was deep in a project and just didn't respond for 2 days. When he finally replied, casually, with no apology, the manager's tone completely flipped. Suddenly, it was, "When you have time," and "No rush, I know you're swamped." But here is the psychology. Those 48 hours forced the manager to reassess Marcus's value. If Marcus was too busy to respond, he must be important. He must be in demand. Therefore, the power dynamic flipped. Scarcity equals value. When your attention is abundant, it's worthless. When it's scarce, people assign meaning to it. Your silence is a commodity. Use it strategically. This is the part that gets uncomfortable. The 48-hour rule works because it creates mild anxiety. And anxiety, when resolved, creates deep attachment. But most people ruin this by going too far. I did this once. I met someone I really liked, and then I decided to play the game. I went silent for 5 days. She didn't chase me. She assumed I had ghosted her. When I finally reached out, she was cold, guarded. I had triggered her protection instinct instead of her pursuit instinct. But when I tried the 48-hour rule later, it was a different story. 48 hours is the trust fall of psychology. It's long enough to cause a "where are they" itch, but short enough that the relief of your return creates a psychological loop. It mimics the rhythm of someone who actually has a life. Here is the perspective shift. Just because you can manipulate someone's dopamine system doesn't mean you should. The 48-hour rule works, but there is a massive difference between having healthy boundaries and using silence as a weapon. If you are staring at your phone for 48 hours, counting the minutes until you can reply, you aren't the one in power. You're the one being controlled by a timer. The real goal isn't to act busy, it's to be whole enough that you actually have a life worth living. The 48 hours should be a byproduct of your ambition, not a strategy. So now you know why 48 hours creates the perfect storm of desire. But what happens when they know the rule too? If you're both waiting 48 hours to reply, you fall into the mirror trap. Two people sitting in silence, both trying to be the highest value person, while the connection actually dies. The solution: when you realize you're in a game of psychological chess, you win by flipping the board. You break the pattern. You don't wait 48 hours. You reply in 48 seconds. But you do it with radical vulnerability. You say, "I've been incredibly focused on my work lately, but I wanted to take a second to tell you I really value our conversations." By breaking the cycle with total honesty, you prove you aren't following a script. You are the script.